Alright, so we're going to be talking about the chakras. So, where to start? What are the chakras? So the chakras, I'm going to show you like a picture. So this is my book. I'm just going to kind of refer to it. So these are the chakras, right? So basically what they are is they're balls of energy that we hold within inside of us. Okay, that sounds really weird, right? But it's not like this just ball of energy. Like, it's basically this area. We have these 7 areas throughout our body where we hold this energy. And where we hold this energy, it correlates with different parts of our bodies, right? So different organs, like the stomach, your heart. So these certain areas that certain chakras are in, it really plays on how your everyday life is. Because when they're out of balance, we have a harder time dealing with situations. A lot of times, and I realized this as I was learning to balance my chakras, that I held a lot of childhood things in my chakras. These things that I didn't know affected me as an adult, but they did because I continued to hold them throughout life. And some things meant nothing. It was just something somebody said to me and I took it to heart, right? So I held it all over my heart for years and years to come. And just little things like that. There's some things that we don't know that we're holding on to but are affecting us. And so it's really important to just let go of these things, right? Because this energy is weighing you down. And I'll tell you a personal story. After I balanced my chakras, I literally lost 10 pounds. No, okay, I lost 10 pounds. And it took me a really long time to figure out that that's what was going on, because I didn't think of it like that. I had just had my son, and before I had my son, I had worked on balancing my chakras a lot because I didn't want it to bother, I didn't want it to have an effect on my relationship, on being a mother and with my husband, because I knew that I was going to be giving birth, right? And my son was going to be going through a lot of my chakras, especially my sacral, which I held a lot of trauma because I was assaulted. So I knew that there was a lot of trauma there, and I was about to bring a child out of me, and that could bring up a lot of things, right? And so after I had my son and I tried getting back to the weight that I was before I had him, I couldn't, right? And I couldn't figure out why. My husband would be like, geez, you need to eat more, right? And I was eating like crazy because I'm breastfeeding and I'm working all the time and I'm taking care of this kid, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't gain this weight back, right? But I had worked so hard to get rid of all this negative energy and things from before I had my son that I literally let go of just 10 pounds of crap I had been holding on to. So it wasn't until I was actually teaching an aroma yoga class, which is balancing your chakras with essential oils, and by doing that, it maximizes it, right? It's just intense, maximizes, allows it to let go. So I was doing that for several months before I had my son, and after I had him, I'm trying to gain this weight, trying to get back. Most people are like, Anna, really? You were 10 pounds under what your original baby weight was, and you're upset? I was upset because I couldn't figure out why. I thought I wasn't nourishing myself enough, But it wasn't until I was teaching an aroma yoga class that I realized, oh, yeah, I let go of so much stuff from before, and that's why I could not gain that 10 pounds back, right? And I didn't want that 10 pounds back, right? I don't want 10 pounds of negative energy holding me down. Nobody wants that. So I was really glad to let that go, right? So the chakras really play a big part in everyday life, and people don't realize it. So I'm going to just briefly go over all 7 of them, but we're going to talk more about the root chakra. And then for the next 7 Fridays or 6 Fridays after this, we'll go over each chakra per day, because there's really so much information under one chakra that if I did all 7 really specific, we'd be here forever. So I'm not going to go too much into the root chakra right now. but I'll kind of just like go over them all. So the root chakra is grounding, right? Your sacral chakra is right below the belly button, and that's the color orange. Actually, so let me tell you. So they're the colors of the rainbow, right? So Roy G. Biv. So the colors of the rainbow, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and purple. So Roy G. Biv, if you ever learned that in school, that's how I remember. So red is the root chakra. Orange is your sacral, which is right below the belly button. So that's like the hip area. That's also your sexual organs and everything. And so that's why like women hold a lot of trauma there. Your belly, right? So your belly is 2 inches. Your solar plex is right 2 inches above the belly button, and that's the color yellow. And that has to do a lot with stomach and stuff like that. So like when you have heartburn and stuff, like that all plays with the belly, and we'll go over that in a couple of weeks, but I just kind of want to briefly go over it. So then we have the heart chakra. So the heart chakra is going to be the color green, and then we move up to the throat chakra, which is the color blue, and then we move up to the third eye, which is indigo. And then we have the crown chakra, which is color purple, and it kind of like just brings everything together. So, the chakras, right? So let's start with the root chakra. So a lot of people that have problems like going number 2 have problems with the root chakra, right? Because root chakra is grounding, right? It's kind of like growing into the earth. Like if you look at like the roots on the trees and plants, right? They're really grounded, they're really rooted. So people that are having problems like going to the bathroom, they're not letting go, right? They're not relaxing, they're not finding themselves grounded. They're not being one with like who they need to be. They're just kind of like peckered and poked up, right? So the phrase that people like to say, right, is like tight ass, right? So the other thing that goes on with the root chakra is people that have problems with money, right? They're just like never satisfied with how much money they're making. Like it's never enough. And they could have like all the nice things in the world and it's just like not enough, right? Or there's the people that are like, oh, if we could just make a little bit more, like they have like barely anything, and they're just like, if we just make this, we could be happy, right? Like they just always think that like money has to deal with that, and like money will come when it needs to come, so you kind of just have to like be abundant and just like, like ask for it. But you also still have to continue doing what you're doing. You just can't be like, oh, money come my way. Like, it doesn't work like that. You have to continue doing and trying your hardest, and it will come, but you can't just expect it to be there, right? So with the root chakra, some essential oils that I like to use are Valor, because Valor is this great blend of tree oils, remember. So like the root chakra is very grounding. So you want those tree oils so that you're like one with nature, right? And this again is the color red. So Valor is full of tree oils as well as frankincense. Then we have grounding, right? That's an amazing oil. It's already getting you where you need to be. So grounding. Again, tons of tree oils, very earthy smell. And then, of course, abundance. I love the smell of abundance. And I have to say, whenever I diffuse abundance, like, abundance comes to me, which is really nice. And it's not in always necessarily ways of money. It's, like, in the ways of opportunity. So you can't always think of, like, abundance coming to you, always money in your pocket, right? But sometimes it's the opportunities that it brings to you so that you can be abundant, right? So that you can prosper and make the money that you need, right? And usually it's doing more of what you love to do, right? So then it's like easy money because you love doing what you're doing. So those are some great blends, but I also like to use cypress, cedarwood, and vetiver. So these are some amazing single tree oils that can be used to really help you ground. So why do I like to use essential oils to help me ground my root chakra? So it really helps in grounding not just the root chakra, but when you're using essential oils for all chakras, it's really beneficial because they have the same frequencies as those organs in that area. And so it maximizes everything that you may have been holding on to in that area and allows you just to really let it go. It doesn't mean anything. You're just holding on to this, right? So allowing it to be like Elsa and just let it go, every day you feel a little bit lighter, right? Because there's some situations you've been holding on to for so long, and it's stupid, right? Like, it was dumb. Why am I still holding on to this thought, this meaning that has absolutely nothing, right? And so by letting it go, you let a little something go, right? So you get this much lighter. And I'm not joking. Like, you feel lighter. After, like, I teach an aroma yoga class, like, I always ask my students, like, how do you feel? And, like, usually the first thing they say is just, like, I feel refreshed. I feel lighter, right? And they are, because there's something that they're holding on to that they don't realize they've been holding on to. Literally, it can be, like, meaningless, you know? But it was something that you took to heart at that time 10 years ago, and so you just held on to it. And so that's why I love using essential oils, because it just maximizes it. I literally let go of like 30 some years of crap, right, before having my son and balancing my chakras. So is balancing your chakras easy? It's not easy. Why is it not easy? Because it's healing. And why is it not easy because it's healing? Because healing hurts, right? People don't want to be reminded of all this stuff, right? If healing didn't hurt or remind us of hurt, then people would be healing themselves all the time, right? We'd be all happy, we'd be feeling great, but that's not how it is. We just let everything go and move on and whatever, but that's not how it is. Healing hurts. And so when I started my process in aroma yoga, I wasn't trying to balance my chakras. I was actually just learning how to teach aroma yoga. And in do so, I hated teaching aroma yoga. Like, as I was learning, I hated it. And I couldn't figure out why. And it was because I was hurting. I had so much hurt inside, and I didn't know. It was just life, right? I thought it was my new everyday norm. I was just moving on and thought that's what I was supposed to do. But when you're hurting so much, you don't realize it, right? It just becomes the new norm. It's kind of like living with pain, right? You're living at a 10, but you don't realize it because you don't realize you're in pain. You thought you were happy and content until you let things go, and you're like, whoa, I got a whole new perspective, right? So when I was learning to teach aroma yoga and balance my chakras, I was really mad and really angry at first, right? It was really hard. And everybody goes through this, right? But it was because I was reliving these things that had hurt me for so long that I had been holding on to. And to the point where it was like, why am I still holding on to this? Like, what little purpose does this have, right? And slowly, I began to let things go and relax a little more. Things that used to bother me like crazy, or I would just like go on a rage for. I'll give you an example. So we have a freezer outside, and for some reason, if you close the fridge, like, the freezer pops open. Well, we don't really use it very often, but if you don't pay attention, like, the freezer will open and you'll lose everything inside, right? Well, this happened a couple of times before, and it just drove me bonkers. Like, I just went off on my husband because I was like, you need to fix it. I don't know what we have to do, but this is ridiculous. We keep losing money because this keeps opening, right? So I was just like furious. Well, after I did all this aroma yoga and balancing my chakras, like a couple months later, I went to get some stuff out of the freezer, and the door was wide open, and it was like I'm not even joking, it was like 100 degrees outside, and everything was thawed out. And I looked in the freezer, and everything was thawed, and I just grabbed the trash can, just dumped everything, and I'm not joking, it was probably like $300 worth of fish and meat, and just, I just walked, threw it all away, put it in the trash can, took the trash can to the street, and then I called my husband, and I was just like, hey, we just can't put meat products in there, or things that, like, we really are expensive. Like, we just need to keep the ice back there if that's what we're going to put. I mean, normally I would have had a fit, and I would have been so furious, and I would have just But I was like, you know what? I don't know what it was, but for some reason we weren't meant to eat that meat, and it's okay. Yeah, it sucks, and that's money down the drain, but there was some reason we weren't supposed to eat it, right? And I remember my husband was just like, okay, like, you're kind of really cool about this. Like, normally I would have freaked out, right? And it's just little things like that it's like, you know what? Why am I going to be upset about this? Like, just let it go, right? So, the root chakra, very grounding, kind of like put your feet in the sand kind of feel, right? Really coming back to nature. So, the color is, again, red, and it's located about your lower spine area. So, like, doing squats is really good. That's really working your root chakra. So, I'm going to tell you, so I don't have these memorized, but each chakra also has a zodiac sign that goes with it. And so, the zodiacs that are earth chakras are Taurus, and let's see, my Capricorns, and my Virgos. So if those are your birth months, then those are also, you're also an earth sign or the root chakra. So now you're born with basically a chakra because of your birth and your zodiac sign, but you tend to grow a lot having a different chakra. Just, as you become a person and develop personality and things like that, you tend to resonate someplace different. So mine, which is funny because when I talk about it too much, my chakra gets really upset. So I am an Aries, and so Aries is actually solar plex, which is the belly, which again we'll talk a lot more about later. But that's the element is the fire, and so when I talk too much about me really loving the water and being a water chakra, which is the sacral chakra, because I love to dance and move and do yoga and silly things like that, right? My solar plex usually has a few words to say about that, which is kind of funny. Or I have a little bit of fury that comes out later, not meaning it, but it just kind of happens. And people, when I first found out I was a fire chakra, I was like, no way, I'm not that way. But then my friends were like looking at me and they're like, yeah, right, Anna. Like, when you are ticked off, you're just like on fire, on point, and you let people know exactly what it's supposed to be. And I'm like, okay, maybe. I see that. So it's very interesting, and as we go through each of the chakras, you'll learn a little bit more about yourself, and you'll also learn a little bit more about things that you're holding on to. Like, who'd have thought, like, the root chakra had to do something with going to the bathroom, right? Like, that just seems silly, but it makes perfect sense, right? Because if you're holding on to something, that's just something you do. That's just there's just things that you're holding on to that you just won't let go. It doesn't matter if it doesn't mean anything anymore or if it's dead and gone, you're holding on to it. And so really breathing in some cypress, abundance, grounding, valor, or contact me and we can do an aroma yoga. But just breathing that stuff in and just letting it go really allows you to be free. And that's really what the chakras are all about. They want you to be balanced, because the more you're balanced, the more happy, the more relaxed you are, right? And that's what we want, because we want everybody to have a better quality of life. So if everybody could walk around with, great chakras, balanced chakras, then we would, be a lot more pleasant and feel better about ourselves. But again, it's hard because when you're balancing your chakras, you're healing yourself. And sometimes we don't want to see that. So that's a little bit about the chakras. And we'll learn some really more cool things about the chakras and some things that have happened to a few of my clients that I can share with you. So I did write this children's book. Right now we have a Kickstarter going on. And this is called Breathing Through the Chakras with the Help of Essential Oils. So I wrote this book because I had learned so much about the chakras and how much it had helped me, that I realized that kids need this too, right? Because I realized half of the crap that I was holding on to was from a kid. And if I could teach my kids how to let go of that stuff earlier on, then they would be a lot happier kids, right? Happier kids, happier teenagers, and happier adults, right? Because they're not holding on to all of this stuff that they don't know why they're holding on to, right? So I wrote this book, and I incorporated the essential oils because not only are the essential oils the same frequencies that I've chosen for each of the chakras that are in the book, but they also stimulate the brain, right? So every time that they read this book, or the book is helping memory, right? So, am I still here? Okay, we're still good. I'm getting a phone call. My mother will have to wait. Okay, so we'll keep going. Sorry about that. So think of like cookies or a lemon pie that, somebody's made, right? That smell always sticks with you and it takes you back, right? So that's exactly what I wanted for this children's book that I wrote. But I'm just going to tell her later on, Mom. I'll talk to you later. So I'm just going to read you what I wrote about the root chakra. So the intent is that there's this little felt pad, and the child would smell it. And this one's cedar wood. And kind of breathe it in, and then breathe it in again. All right, and then you would read them the passage. And the passage is the root chakra. Oh, sorry. As you breathe in the scent, know that the root chakra is as red as the apple on the tree, which helps keep you grounded to Mother Earth. May it help keep you grounded, courageous, abundant, and secure throughout your life. So I incorporated each of the colors, as well as the elements, as well as some amazing words that correlate with the root chakra. And then I also, obviously, the essential oil. But just things that they can pick up on, and I wanted to bring it back to nature, because right now we really need to come back to nature because we've been so distant, right, from nature, and now we're all kind of home, and so we're kind of like, trying to be like, oh, look, we can go play outside, like we don't have to play on the computer all day, like we're going outside because we've been kept up all day, so it's just really coming back to nature, coming back to like everything that God has given us. And so that's really why I involved the nature. And the chakras have a lot to do with the nature, right? So this is the book, and that was the one that I wrote for the root chakra. And I've had so many people send me messages, and I've been on Dr. Ollie's Essential Oil Symposium that was aired a couple weeks ago now. And so that was super nice that he asked me to be a part of that. And so we have this book. It's on Kickstarter right now. If you want to help donate, at $25, you get a copy of the book as well as a bookmark. And then I have a lot of people that are like, I need tons of copies. So at $100, you get 5 books and 5 bookmarks. And at $250, you get 14 books and 14 bookmarks. And so that helps to, they're great birthday gifts, just because gifts. I have a lot of friends that are going to be giving away for baby shower gifts. Just because it's a great book. My son loves it. He loves it because it smells great, right? And so that was the intent. Like, you want to create a book that, they're going to always want to go to that book first, because if it smells good, they're going to be like, Mom, read me this book, right? And so it's going to really help them to remember these little passages by smelling that scent every time. So if you don't know about Kickstarter, it's a fundraiser. But you have to at least get all 100% of the funds. And unfortunately, doing children books are not cheap. And so I put the max is $10,000, and not really 70% of that goes to getting the book published. And then the rest is like me shipping and handling, because I will be personally touching all of these books and sending them out. And the other part is like the little felts. So I actually have to cut all the little felts. I have a machine that does it, but I have to cut all the little felts to put in the books out, as well as, what is the other cost? I'm trying to think. The bookmarks and Kickstart, obviously, they get a percentage of it. So help us hit our 100%. We have till May 30th to try and get these books out so that your children can also learn about the chakras. And next week, we will learn about the sacral chakra, which is the color orange. So I hope you learned a little bit. If you have any more questions, please send me a message. I'd love to help you.